And now it's time to enter the lair, and there is absolutely no doubt that the Perth Lynx got exactly what they wanted from Santa. They didn't ask for much. All they wanted was a dual WNBA championship winner, and when they looked under the tree on Christmas morning, this is what they found.
Whitcomb at the buzzer for three. There it is! Sami Whitcomb! Here Whitcomb freed in the corner! Left in regulation, driving baseline, kick it back. Who left Sami Whitcomb open?
Yes, after months of wrangling, in the words of the immortal Rock, finally, Sami Whitcomb has come back to Perth Lynx. And the man who was at the centre of all the wrangling and has his fingerprints all over everything that is as good a WNBL roster as we have seen in Perth for a long time is the Lynx General Manager, Brent Dawkins. Brent, welcome to the Dribble podcast.
Thanks very much, Craig, and it's great to be here.
So, firstly, tell us a bit about what was going on and how much of a relief it was to get Sami's contract sorted.
Yeah, definitely a relief to get it sorted prior to our first game on the road. And it sort of was the last piece of our roster. It sort of come out of the blue, 2 or 3 months ago, and reached out to us, and Sami was keen to come back to Perth, and we were keen, obviously, to have on our roster, and it's finally relief after sort of 2 or 3 months to get it done right on Christmas Day, which was perfect timing.
So take us into the negotiations in France. She obviously signed to play back in May and then told them in about September that, or at least it was publicly announced in France in September, that she had a change in family situation, which was her wife getting a job back in Perth. What was the sticking point that you had to work through to get them to release her?
Yeah, now obviously Sam had agreed to play in France for a French team, and the deal had to be obviously worked through, and it doesn't happen quickly, as you can imagine. And it was virtually a buyout figure of at the end of getting out of her contract in France and playing, as I said, close by her partner here in Perth. And the fit was fantastic, and it happened just in time before our first game.
So was it a negotiation over that figure, or were they just saying this is what it needs to be and you need to pay us or else she's not coming out?
Yeah, no, it's just a negotiation. I think in the end it was going to happen. It was just about getting the right deal for everyone, and then, as I said, it's great to have Sami on board now. So can't rush these things, as you can understand, and wrapped to have her on board at this late stage before the season starts.
When she left Perth, she was arguably the best player in the comp, and she returned significantly better than what she was back then. You weren't around even in basketball at the time, so technically you're a fresh set of eyes. What makes you say wow when you watch her train at the moment?
Look, I've seen, as you know, Craig, I've been involved in sport for sort of over 20 years now in Perth, and watched a lot of people train and a lot of people, play at the elite level and the professional level. And people talked about Sam's work ethic and her training ethic, and she's up there with anyone else I've ever seen. She's unbelievable the hours she puts in, even at her level at the moment, and it's a credit to her, and the young girls around her actually just feed off that as well, just to see how hard she works. And she's fantastic in that and gets everything out of herself, which is a credit to herself. The
roster is absolutely stacked, and it's come at a really interesting time for the league. The WNBL announced a salary cap in May, which was $420,000, but there are obviously opportunities within that to play players as marquee players, and you can exceed it and pay a luxury tax. At the time, you said you'd be a middle-of-the-rung team. Has that changed as you put this together, and have you now paid more than what you would have expected? Are you still around the same budget you were looking at?
Yeah, around about the same budget, not much more, to be honest. And Sami realises that she come in late into the putting the roster together, so she understood that side of things, and there was a big emphasis on her just to play in Perth. So, we wanted to do the best thing by both parties, but we're around about the same figure as what we said pre-season. So we're not right at the top end, and we're not right at the bottom as well. So we'd be middle of the rung.
So did you sense with Sami that given last year she wanted to play in Perth and the family situation got in the way of that, given the hub set up in Queensland just after her son's birth, did you sense that the opportunity to come back and play where she'd wanted to play for a while now and get back in front of family and friends, was that the real thing that made her say, yep, I can take less, I just want to play here?
Yeah, I think so. And obviously, we you don't want to shortchange a player either, especially someone of Sami's quality. But she's got a close connection to Coach Ryan Petrick as well, so there's a really nice fit there between those two. And I think she really wanted to play under Ryan, and unfortunately that didn't happen last year. And I think it all fell into place, and she saw the roster that we had put together, and I think she was excited to jump on board that. That's for sure.
You've done a brilliant job with the recruiting. You've got the 2 star imports in Marina Mabry and Jackie Young. You've also got Whitcomb and Lauren Scherf arriving as well. And you've got a big background in recruiting, which I would imagine helped to get these deals done. Take the listeners through your previous life at the Fremantle Football Club and how that experience has helped you to build this list.
Yeah, look, totally different sport. Obviously, I was at the Dockers for 9 years in recruiting, based here in WA, and then moved into football operations, and then moved across to basketball. And although it's a different sport completely, the same sort of the same sort of ideas and that come across with stakeholders, etc. But as far as the recruiting and the talent identification from a basketball perspective, the majority of credit needs to go probably to Ryan Petrick in regards to that. He's got the basketball eye, and Keegan Crawford, who's now at the Wildcats. He was initially our assistant coach. So, nearly on 6 months ago now, we sat down in the room, myself, Ryan and Keegan, and went through an amazing list of a number of basketballs all around the world, Australia, international, and we started from there. And a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of dealing with different time zones, especially with agents in America and Europe, and different sports, but dealing with agents, dealing with managers, it was similar in that regard. But as far as on the court and the talent of the girls, that is obviously, I left that to the coaches. They're the experts in that area, and they said, look, we think X, Y, B, and C, they're worth following up. Then I take it from there, and we go from there.
So when you're putting the list together, how do you manage to make sure that you've got all the pieces in the right order that you've got to get them in, and at the right time with other clubs trying to get them around the world? Like, how did you manage to piece it all together?
Yeah, well, obviously we're based here in Perth, and we still a big emphasis on WA athletes. So Darcy Garvin was probably one of our first pieces that we wanted to get in place. WA athlete, an Australian opal, a tall, which are hard to find. So with her, and then we went with Lauren Scherf, another tall, another Australian opal. It then gives us more flexibility to find some guards internationally. The talls are the ones that are more difficult to find, and if you try and find a tall from overseas, usually you're playing above the odds. It's a bit like the old Moneyball situation. So there is a lot of guards internationally, and so that was the method we went through. We went through with try and lock away a couple of talls first, then get some WA flavour definitely into our team, and then finish it off with, at what we thought at that time, was going to be 2, I guess, international imports as guards. Sami came along and made that 3, which is a bonus for us. But that was pretty much our philosophy and how we went about putting the list together. And it is a slow process. It doesn't happen overnight, as you can imagine. Lots of phone calls and lots of toing and froing. But, now that the girls are about to jump on a plane, I can finally get a couple of nights' sleep, which would be nice.
So Jackie and Marina are former teammates and championship winners at Notre Dame, and were both drafted in the same draft. Jackie at number 1, Marina at number 19. Is it a coincidence that you went for some players who are not only known to each other, but the same age and the same level of experience in the WNBA? Is there a hitting point that you want to aim at when you're trying to put this sort of a list together?
Yeah, it's not a coincidence. Obviously, that helps, but it's a bit like football as well. You try and get the best player, especially early on, and then if it does fit, on the back of that, their synergy and their time together, especially moving to the other side of the world, really helps out as well. So it was a really nice fit to have 2 ex-Notre Dame players and in Jackie and Marina come on board. So that was nice.
Jackie won a gold medal for America at the 3x3 in the Olympics, and Marina got votes at the WNBA Most Improved Award this year. So it feels like it's been breakout years for both of them. Did you sense that was coming when you signed them, given that you signed them before these achievements occurred?
Yeah, that was... It's, as I said, referencing Moneyball again, and it's one of my favourite movies. And it's trying to predict the future in any draft and in any recruiting thing. That doesn't always work out, as you well know. But trying to get them and predict that they're going to have great seasons. Jackie, once again, another fantastic season with Las Vegas, and got the call up late to the Olympics team, which was great. And then Marina, a breakout season as well. So so far so good, and everything sort of ticked the boxes, and it's happy days.
There was someone who was going through through the ranks when you were at Fremantle, everyone was hoping might turn into someone, and he became pretty good too in terms of a bargain basement sort of a selection at the right age, and that was Matthew Pavlich. So you'd be quite happy if you get some Matthew Pavlich out of Marina Mabry and Jackie Young this year, wouldn't you?
Yeah, if we could grab a Pav and a Lee Brown out of that draft and a Paul Hazelby, then we'd be more than happy with that, I think, at the end of the season. So, very similar, mate, that's for sure.
You had both your imports at your house on Christmas Day. How'd they enjoy the 43 degrees?
Yeah, they loved it. Luckily, we got a pool, and they spent some time in the pool, and we just thought it was a good chance to, obviously being away from their family, to invite them around and enjoyed the seafood dinner, the seafood lunch, and showing them a little bit about the Australian Christmas compared to an American Christmas. So, look, they had a great day, and I'm sure they thoroughly enjoyed it.
You mentioned Scherf earlier. How important was it to get someone her age, 25, with that size, athleticism, championship experience? Feels like she's just about to hit her peak.
Yeah, look, Lauren's fantastic and has been fantastic all pre-season. As you said, fits the right age demographic as well. And a lot of our girls do on our list, to be honest. If you actually look at our age demographic along the list, we're all around that 23, 24, 25 age bracket. And then obviously Sami on top of that. But yeah, really important. She's had a fantastic interrupted season, I guess, in the NBL 1 South with Kilsyth. Was their best and fairest MVP player, and come across, and she's really adapted to the WA lifestyle and has fitted in really well and is really great for the team. And as I said, she's been named in the Opal squad as well for the February games, and it's a fantastic effort by her, that's for sure.
You got four opals technically, I suppose, and one of them is a WNBA player. So if we say 3 WNBA players and 3 opals, it's a fair squad. You're going to say that you're going to take it one game at a time, but this is a squad that's been built to be really active at the business end of the season, isn't it?
Oh, look, I'm going to say it's going to be one game at a time, but we've just got to get on the plane on Friday, and then look, the girls are just can't wait to actually play a game of basketball. They've had an extended pre-season. A lot of the other teams have been playing for a month already, so they're really keen to play that first game against Adelaide. But as far as the squad, look, yeah, absolutely. On paper, it looks a strong team. But as I said, many strong teams on papers have failed to deliver when the games, the ball gets thrown up. That's for sure. But we will take it one day at a time, one game at a time, and hopefully get the win against Adelaide on Sunday.
How have you found the pre-season practice matches you've been playing behind closed doors? What have you got out of those so far?
Yeah, they're really good actually. Very difficult. Obviously, we can't play against any other teams, from interstate, so it makes it a little bit different. So we had to do a bit of a mixed team of NBL 1 West boys and girls, or men and women. So that was good, just to make the games as competitive as possible. But as with all preseason games, and it's hard until you actually get out there and you play the first proper game, and that's when everyone goes 100%. So we had our last game today and one more training session on Thursday, and then we're on the road on Friday morning. So the girls can't wait.
So it's been a dramatic week for sports throughout the entire country, with basketball and soccer and footy and cricket impacted by COVID-19. You're going to set up in Adelaide for your first game on Jan 2, and we know that they've got some pretty tight rules around what's considered a close contact and what the rules are if anyone gets any COVID problems there. And then you go to Victoria, where you'll set up in Ballarat. So when you look at it, how are you going to try to avoid the COVID situation in South Australia firstly, and then in Ballarat, which has got about 90 cases at the moment?
Yeah, it's just being smart, I think, Craig, and just telling the girls that just don't put yourself into any situations as best as you can. Obviously they can't be stuck in a hotel room for the entire month, and that's not going to work either. So you can't do that for their mental health side of things. But yeah, just be smart. Obviously always wear your mask, do all the COVID protocol stuff, and go out if you're going to go out in small groups rather than full team dinners and stuff like that. And when you can eat outside, you eat outside. So little things like that you tell the girls. But yeah, as I said, we're short stop over in Adelaide, 2 nights there, and then we base ourselves in regional Victoria, which has its positives because we're not based in the middle of Melbourne, which is good. As you said, 90 cases in Ballarat. So just managing that. And as I said, take it day by day, and there was a game, I think, cancelled today between Bendigo and Sydney Flames, and I'm sure it won't be the only game that gets cancelled and has to be rescheduled in the environment that we're living in at the moment.
So if games do get cancelled around the league, not just yourself but with other ones, will you try to get more than your current 6 home games in Perth? There are a couple of little windows where they might be able to wedge a game in here or there around March. Is that a goal to try to get some games back if you can?
Yeah, look, just not 100% over the line, but I can give you a little bit of a scoop that looks like we've gained another home game. So there'll be 7 home games we get now, which is good. So that can be confirmed in the next couple of days. So 7, we did have 6, now 7, so that's a bonus for us. So we can get our away games done, obviously, the next month, and then we get, virtually 7 weekends in a row of home basketball. That's going to be a nice way for us to wrap up the season, I think. If we can be around the mark when we get back, then it's a nice, strong finish we can have.
So what would that date be, and what's the likely opponent to be for that extra game now?
Potentially to be Adelaide. They did have us going back to Adelaide to play on the 17th of February. But it makes a lot more sense if Adelaide come to us, considering we've already gone to Adelaide on the way over. So it would be a straight swap for us to play Adelaide here rather than we going back over to Adelaide. Didn't make a lot of sense. So that would give us 7 home games and give Adelaide 10 home games. We thought that was only a fair and a pretty easy switch.
And that will make it a lot easier, I'd imagine, also for the players who are coming back from playing in the Opals in that small window. Just makes everything a lot easier if you've got your own players back in Perth, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. We could potentially we've got 4 girls in the squad that could go and play in Serbia in that window. So, whether they all make the final team that heads over, but it does definitely make it easier to fly back into Perth from Serbia than it would be to go back over and play an away game in Adelaide.
You mentioned we were in Ballarat for a fair portion of time. You went to uni in Ballarat. I assume you're going to be taking them all to Sovereign Hill to Pan for gold and do some work with the blacksmith like everyone else who's been to that town?
Yeah. No, exactly right. I'm back to my old stomping ground, so I'm a back smash boy and went to uni in Ballarat and did a PE degree there. And I'm probably more excited than anyone to get back to Ballarat. So most of the other girls haven't been there, and definitely the American girls haven't been there. So it'll be an eye opener for them. But at least we're not going over there in the middle of winter, where we'd be having beanies and gloves on and no doubt snowing every morning. But no, look, it's a great place, and I'm sure they'll settle in well there and interact with the community. And hopefully that Ballarat jump on board us, similar to what they've done with the Western Bulldogs in the AFL. We'd love the Ballarat community to be supporting us rather than supporting Southside or Bendigo or any of the other teams that have come down to play us in Ballarat. So we're gonna make that a big focus and try and get the crowd behind us and sort of our second home fans are across there in Victoria.
Now, we have a segment on the Dribble podcast called This or That. You can't sit on the fence. You have to give us a genuine answer, unlike your 1 week at a time. Now, the question you're asking this week is, we're seeing the challenges for sport throughout COVID. And what do you think is a better model? Is it the safe and proven hub model where all teams go to one spot and it becomes a TV event? Or is it better to have teams still travelling the country, playing in front of home crowds and just copping the interruptions as they go?
Definitely the second for me. I still think it's really important from a sponsorship point of view from each of the individual clubs to try and get those home games. But not only just the sponsors, but also our fans. So, our fans here haven't watched our girls play for near on 2 years by the time they get back. So, just to have that fan engagement and then we play it game by game once we get into that. So if there is one game needs to be rescheduled, we take it on the chin and we move forward and we look towards the next game. So from my point of view, definitely trying to adapt on the road as much as we can.
Well, look, thank you very much for joining us, Brent. The Lynx kick off their season on Sunday against the Adelaide Lightning. We hope things go extremely well for you and it becomes the powerful season that you hope your team can produce.
Thanks very much, Craig. And once again, thanks so much for the support. And, look, the girls are raring to go, looking forward to get on the court, but also really looking forward to get back and playing here in Perth as well in the new year. That'd be great.